Hi, welcome to your ELA 7 virtual edition for Thursday, April 23rd. This is the first video that I have recorded since Governor DeWine's announcement that schools will remain closed for the rest of the year. So I know this is late, but I just wanted to take a moment to let you know how much I miss all of you so much. And I'm really hoping that we get to go back to a at least somewhat normal situation in August this year, so that at least I can see your faces in the hallway, say hi, and we can catch up a little bit then. Again, I just miss you guys a whole lot, and I miss being able to interact with you. We've read a lot of things and done a lot of little debates and discussions and things like that, that as I'm reading your responses, I'm like, these are so wonderful, but it would have been so much better if we'd been in person. And I know some of you guys gave me some feedback that you didn't really want to go back, and I understand that. You know, once you get into habits, it's kind of easy, and you know, if you didn't like dragging yourself out of bed at 7 or 7:30 in the morning every day, this has been a kind of nice little break where you can choose what time you're going to get up and when you're going to do your work. For some of you, it's 3 a.m. I mean, you do you, right? You do you, okay? So again, miss you all, love you, and I was hoping to get to see you soon, but that's not going to be the case. But if you have questions, concerns, things you want to talk to me about, you can email me at ddixon@pdys.org. You can message me on Canvas. I've got a lot of you guys doing that, and that works great. Or you can, of course, log on to my Zoom hours from 10 to 11 a.m. and 1 to 2 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, as long as it is a scheduled school day. So I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to see your face. So hopefully you'll take advantage of one of those ways to reach out. All right, so let's get going on today's lesson. Okay, we have just a few things to do today. Let me see what they are. We're working on vocab list 23 and lists 19 through 23 still. We've got our Scope Magazine Scavenger Hunt to work on today. And then of course, we should be working on our Reading Plus. I've noticed that people have started to step up their efforts a little bit. And so I'd like to encourage you to continue that, because Reading Plus isn't going anywhere. All right, and then finally, you've got a book lying around. What else? Read it. All right, let's get moving here on today's lesson. Vocab list 23. Just like yesterday, all I need you to do today is review, because we are just over 2 weeks away from that big test over lists 19 through 24. So please make sure that you're keeping up on those words. I know that us not being able to discuss them and do kind of some back and forth on that has made understanding some of these words a little difficult. I was reading through some vocab stories, and I know the word epitome is making people a little confused maybe. So to be the epitome of something means that you are, or it is, whatever the epitome is like the classic example of something. So like, for instance, you've potentially heard Mrs. Hoffman talk about Brad Pitt this year. Brad Pitt is the epitome of 90s male movie stars, okay? Like, everybody loved Brad Pitt. You think of 90s movie stars, you think of Brad Pitt. I know that kind of grosses you guys out probably, but that would be an example of an epitome, okay? I hope that kind of makes sense, because that was one that I noticed that we were struggling with a little bit. All right, and if you have questions about other ones, send them to me. Comment them on the YouTube comments. I'll respond if you're sending me messages, no matter how you're asking me the question, okay? All right, so that brings us to our Scope Magazine activity for today. So yesterday, you should have read the debate between, what was his name, Matthew maybe, and Genevieve, about does TikTok belong in schools? So hopefully you read through that. You were also supposed to do a vocabulary activity with that to make sure you understood the words. Oh, hey, one of those probably looked pretty familiar, huh? That was actually entirely coincidence. I had no idea that frivolous was going to end up on in the same story as we were reading the week of the list with the word frivolous. That was a really messed up sentence, but I hope you understood what I was saying. So on our scavenger hunt activity today, what you're going to do is go through these two sides of the debate, the two different arguments, and you're searching for some things that both of them used, okay? And these are argumentative things that you're looking for, because basically a debate is where two people or two groups of people argue both sides of a situation, both sides of a position. So actually, if you've been listening to The Benefits of an Octopus, you already knew that, because Zoe's in debate club, and so you've probably heard about some of that. So what we've got going on here is these two students each writing an argument, and what we need to do is go through and identify what's the claim that each student makes. So actually, in your scavenger hunt, one of those has already been done for you. They wrote down the claim. Now, if you remember, a claim is kind of like a thesis statement, right? It's where you say, this is the position that I'm taking in this argument. Okay, so it's what you're trying to prove throughout the rest of your essay or speech or whatever the case may be. So you need to find a central idea or claim in one of those two articles. So if you're having a little bit of trouble with that, what I would recommend is look at the other one, because one's already done for you. They already found one of them in your scavenger hunt for you. So if you're having a little bit of trouble finding the claim, maybe look at the example claim that's already there so that you can find the claim in the other argument. So then you're also going to need to search high and low for two pieces of text evidence. So how did this writer support that claim? What's some of the evidence? Now, what you need to be careful with for that is that you should be looking for things like facts and statistics and things like that, not things like, well, I really love TikTok, so it should be in school. Well, that's an opinion, and while opinions do have a role in argument, they're not really persuasive. It's like, okay, well, that's what you think. I don't think that, so that argument really isn't valid, right? So you need to find the information that backs up a valid argument. So that's going to be things like statistics and examples and facts, and maybe even like a little story about why something would or wouldn't work. Okay, so two pieces of evidence you need to track down during your scavenger hunt. Then you're going to be looking for the counterclaim. Scope calls it a counterclaim. I've called it both a counterclaim and a counterargument. Those are interchangeable terms. They mean the same thing. Counterclaim, so it's like the opposite claim, or counterargument, the opposite argument. Okay, so we talked about when you wrote your argumentative essay about how in a good argument, you acknowledge the other side. You acknowledge how the other side might argue against you. So you're going to look for how might the opposing side argue. So one way to do that is to look for signal phrases or transitions, like some may argue might be a good indicator that you're looking at the counterclaim in what comes next. There's also, this is one of the things that in this scavenger hunt is already done for you. So look at the example counterclaim that's already identified for you and see if you can find something similar in the other argument. And then the final thing that you're looking for in each of those arguments is the rebuttal. The rebuttal is your response to the counterclaim, or the arguer's response to the counterclaim. So, okay, the other side may argue that fill in the blank. However, remember that's the transition that we use to move into our rebuttal. However, blah, 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 my argument's better than yours. Now, is it based on, I just think my argument's better? No, that should be based on, here's a fact or a statistic or a valid, good reason why your counterclaim isn't valid, isn't good, isn't as valuable as this piece of information that I just gave you. So the rebuttal is where you say, yeah, somebody might argue that, but here's a better argument for my side. Does that kind of make sense? I hope that makes sense. So if you need to read those definitions, I've attached in today's module the notes that we took from earlier in the year when we were talking about argumentation. So that Google Slides presentation is in your module for today. So it's titled argumentterms.pdf. So look for that argument terms PDF if you need to read those definitions or you want to have them up on your screen while you're working on your scavenger hunt. So if you have any questions on that, as always, email, Canvas message, or drop in for office hours. All right, so that brings us to our last assignment of the day, and that is to work on your Reading Plus. Hopefully you've been working on that throughout the week. I know that some of you guys have taken a probably smarter approach to this year or this week by kind of getting started on that a little bit earlier, especially since you have a little more time because you have a few less, well, not really a few, you just have like 1 or 2 fewer assignments from me this week. So hopefully that's helping to provide you with some time to spend on Reading Plus so that we can A, get it done, and B, improve our scores. Just a reminder, it's not a completion grade. It's a grade based on how well you do. And so if you're turning up four reds, well, your grade is going to reflect that. And again, your Reading Plus grade is half of your homework grade every week. So you probably want to make sure that you're putting a little bit more effort into it. All right, so let's live up to our potential. So to recap, we've got review for our vocab test. So lists 19 through 23 are what we've covered so far. So get to work on that. Do some Look-It, do some Quizlet, make some flashcards, whatever helps you to study. Then we have our Scope Magazine Scavenger Hunt through our debate on whether or not TikTok belongs in school. So that is due by midnight tonight. And then finally, we've got Reading Plus to work on because our final Reading Plus is due by midnight on Sunday night. So let's make sure that we're getting a good jump on that so that we're not getting locked out at 9 o'clock on Sunday night when I can't do anything to help you because I'm not logging in anymore. Okay? And as always, if you've got a book, read. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow.